Hello everyone, welcome to Behind the Code, which is a video series we're doing on the work that happens behind the scenes. Now, we want to call this sometimes the unglamorous work of software development, but we thought it'd be nice for you to see inside how that works. And joining me today is Madison Fitch, who's one of our product engineers. Nice to talk to you today, Madison.
Hi, everybody. Nice to meet you. I started at Replit August 15th, so I'm pretty new to the team. I started right before the school year sort of ramped up. I had heard that it would be exciting.
Time, isn't it?
Yes. I think it's like the seasons are shifted 3 months forward, I think, for the engineering team. And yeah, so I was really excited to come on and join everybody for the school year.
So now you've been told in advance that the back to school season was the exciting part. So yes. What was your experience of your first few weeks on the job then?
So I was a little scared. I kind of came from a big company and knew that there was going to be a lot of responsibility on my shoulders since the team at Replit is much smaller. Everybody was nice. They weren't actually expecting me to like save the day as a new engineer, so that was nice. But yeah, I wasn't really sure what to expect. In September, got off to a little bit of a bumpy start, I think, on the platform engineering side. But they rolled out a bunch of re-architecture changes on that side that improved things dramatically. And by the end of September, I think web was feeling pretty good. We felt like we had weathered the back to school traffic and system was kind of humming along. Well, the platform team, so I'm on product, primarily responsible for the web experience outside of the workspace. So we have a dedicated team who works on the workspace. And then there's the platform engineering team who is responsible for the system that actually runs REPLs, which is huge, very important, but something that I'm not really qualified to speak on. I just know that they rolled out a bunch of stuff. Things were amazing. By the end of September, we were feeling like we were in a pretty good spot and had weathered kind of the back to school traffic spike.
So that's always a nice point, isn't it? So you felt you were over the hump.
Yes, we felt like we were over the hump.
Then, from what I understand, you had a bit of fun at your offsite or on-site, yes, whatever we call it nowadays.
The gathering, the product engineering gathering, was the first week of October. Most of the team had never met in person, so that was supposed to be our chance to kind of meet in person, do some team bonding activities, plan for the year. And the second day we had a major incident. The whole website went down for a long time. And we realized at that point that we had not gotten over the back to school hump. And that we in fact had a bunch of work that we needed to do to make sure that the system was scalable and reliable and handling back to school.
So this is one of the reasons that I thought it'd be nice to speak to you, because we had two incidents over the course of a couple of days, didn't we? And coincidentally, they both happened at the start of the US school day. So do you want to speak to us a little bit about that?
Yes, so I was in California, so I think I sort of became involved in handling these incidents because I was awake on East Coast time. And we did see a traffic tick start actually at the UK school day start. And then when the East Coast joined at around 8:15 in the morning, that was when the system started to struggle with the load and become less responsive as the school day went on.
So these sort of incidents are sort of all hands on deck sometimes, aren't they? Where the team get together and try and problem solve and get the site back up and running. And of course, that's why the status page is so important. If you ever feel that your REPLs are not working very well, do check the status page and you can see if we're dealing with something on the back end then. But presumably all hands on deck. And what did you discover was the root cause?
So we looked at a couple things. The incidents the first week of October were primarily related to websites not being able to acquire database connections. The database was getting backed up with some long-running queries, and new requests were sort of waiting in a queue for their turn, but their turn wasn't coming fast enough, and they were piling up and creating a sort of infinite line of people waiting for the website to give them data. So we looked at why we had such long-running queries and realized that we have some pages in the team's experience that are doing a lot of heavy lifting, and they're doing it all at once. And one of those pages was the projects overview table, which I think many teachers are familiar with. It's the page where you can see the list of students and then their progress for each of the projects for that team. And what it's doing the first time that you load the page is it's pulling the list of students, pulling the list of projects, and pulling every submission for every project at once. And we were finding that sometimes that was taking minutes.
That's a lot of data though, isn't it?
That's a lot of data.
For some of our customers who have hundreds, if not thousands of students and dozens, if not hundreds of projects, that's a lot of information to pull down. And I suppose the best analogy I've got is it's like my nan going to the post office, and she's the sort of person that takes a purse full of pennies. And it's because it's taken her so long to pay, she's causing a queue to back up that, you know, and if the queue was multiples of my nan, that queue would never get to the end before the end of the working day. That's the sort of situation we were in, which is why we ended up turning off the project overview page for a short period of time, didn't we?
Yes, we ended up turning it off because we had a hunch that that was causing a significant portion of the problem, but we wanted to be sure. And the other reason that we turned it off was that fixing it was not quick. We knew that we weren't going to be able to make it do less. Like, it still needed to load all the students and all of their progress for the submissions. But we needed to find a way to do it that was not creating that line and taking so much upfront time.
And this is why Madison's talking to us today, actually, as the MVP of the invisible part of Teams this last week. Certainly, she is responsible.
Eddie and I, sorry.
Well, responsible for re-architecting the project's overview page and making it work a little bit differently so that it's more manageable, but still getting the same effect. We'll show you the new project's overview page. So this is a test Teams. There's lots of projects, there's lots of students, but not a lot of marking going on. But you'll see the main difference is as it loads, it's going and doing the loading of the data in the background after it starts. So you get it all and it loads, but not immediately. So Madison, talk us through the differences there. What have you changed in the way it works to lower that impact on the database?
Sure. So the way that it works now is it continues to load that list of students and the list of projects, but it doesn't load the student submissions the first time that you visit the page. It chunks them out into rows of 20 students and chunks of projects. So each row of 20 students will load in chunks of 25 projects. So if you have 75 projects, it's making 3 queries for the students and then going on to the next row. So you're able to interact with each chunk of 20 students while the next one is loading. And we just continue to do that loading until we're done, until we've gone through all the students and loaded all the templates. And
presumably sorry.
No, go ahead.
I said, and presumably what that does is that reduces the stress on the back end from having to load hundreds of thousands of pieces of data instantly. It's just pretty much loading what you see on the screen and then loading in the background quickly as you scroll around. Is that a fair summary?
Yes, exactly. And we used to load the test counts separately. So it would load the students and give you whether they had started or completed the project, but it wouldn't load the test counts immediately. It was doing separate queries for that. And we combine them to make it sort of load faster. So you get the full data on all those 20 students instead of getting just their status and then getting the counts at a later time.
I think that's one of the reasons why I wanted to do this video, actually, because that's a quality of life improvement for all of us teachers. Being able to see all that data instantly is really, really nice. And I'll say that the moment we turned off the project overview page, we had a lot of questions from teachers straight away. So it is a highly used feature and it's something that people rely on. So the fact that we've managed to bring it back, I'd say in a better state than it went away in, I think speaks volumes to how great you are as a team and how much work you put in as an individual. So thank you so much from all of the educators. You really are the MVP of Teams for Education.
Yeah, it was tough to realize while trying to improve it that it was unusable for a lot of people. I loaded one of the teams that had 1,000 students and realized like they couldn't have been using this page because it didn't work, it froze. So we've also virtualized it so that it works for people who have thousands of students as well as, because it was breaking for smaller, sorry, I'm just gonna keep talking and then you can cut this. It was breaking for teams with 50 students, let alone 1,000. So it was nice to be able to fix it for people across the student size spectrum.
I think the interesting thing is for most of us who teach in a classroom, we rarely teach more than 30 students in a go. So I never saw that behavior. Most people that I talk to regularly never saw that behavior, but it's the people that are running these I suppose more universities running entire cohorts, or online schools running hundreds and hundreds of students, as you say, probably never used this feature, but now you can, because thanks to Madison's great work, it does load nicely, quickly, and easily for you. And you can actually get to use the project overview page for what it's for, which is seeing students' progress, where they are, whether they've started, whether they've submitted, or how many of the tests they've actually passed. So thank you so much, because I think it'll change a lot of the way people work.
It's exciting and happy to help.